So when I was 14, I really didn't have any friends. Prior to that, I had done about 4 years of Boy Scouts and about 4 to 3 years of Taekwondo. And so I had friends back then, but once I graduated from those things and moved on, I had a whole year where I didn't talk to anybody really my age, because all my cousins that were my age, they lived, they didn't live close to me, and I didn't have any other friends than those friends that I had there. So I went for a year where I didn't really have any friends or a social life. And because of that, my social skills suffered. And I kind of had to find out what I liked doing on my own, which I found was creative writing and being creative in general. Also some video games, of course, but my main purpose or mission at that point in life was to become a fantasy writer. And so I did that, and by the time I was about 14, still 14, but later on when I was 14, I got signed up for a basketball team. I'd never really played a sport competitively in my life. I was always the Boy Scout Taekwondo guy, and you can say Taekwondo is a sport, but it's more of a martial art. I had played 1 year of baseball, and I was really garbage at it. So this was the first time actually going into a sport in my first year of high school as a freshman. And it went pretty good. I was really bad at basketball just starting out. I was behind basically everybody because I had never touched a basketball in my life before that. So considering, I did really well. I got most improved player, and I also got the most Christ-like award. And I didn't get most Christ-like award because I was actually honoring Christ or really reflecting Christ, maybe in some instances, but majority of the time I was just a person that people liked. People liked me. I was a cool person to be around. I wasn't cringe, but I wasn't crazy confident either, but I was easy to be friends with. And so people liked me, and they voted me to get most Christ-like award. I was the only person that got 2 awards that year. But at this point in my life, I was very socially awkward in my own eyes, and I wasn't comfortable in social interactions. I had social anxiety. I had a bad self-image of myself. I didn't really have a purpose in my life or an understanding of even what a purpose in life really meant. So on the surface, everything was good. I was the only person that got 2 awards. But when I came home, I noticed these huge, easily noticeable sweat rings under my arms. And that broke me. I just remember hugging this girl goodbye, and I was just thinking, like, she had to have seen that. And I was just thinking of me standing in front of everybody's mom and all the girls looking at me, and then all the guys looking at me, everybody looking at me. And I just pictured myself standing up there awkwardly because I can see the pictures, and I hated the pictures that were taken of me. I was really upset. And I sink into this state of depression and anger at everybody, and I cut everybody off. I really don't talk to anybody. And the only times I do try to reach out to this one guy, I overthink it, and I think I'm being annoying. And so I really don't do that very often at all. I probably did it about 3 times. Now I need to figure out how I fix this. How do I become the person that I want to be? How do I become more attractive? How do I become, more confident? And it's at this time that I start getting recommended self-improvement content on YouTube. I'd never gotten recommended gym videos before, this. I'd always been the gamer, the Fortnite gamer who wants to go pro on Fortnite. And, I was watching creative writing content, trying to improve my writing. And so the first time that I watched a gym video, I think it was Alex Eubank. And I fell in love with it. I started working out in the little home gym that we have that was way less than it is now back then. So I start doing full body workouts. I started really trying to train abs because abs are attractive. And all throughout the summer, I grind basketball. I have a purpose to grind. I want to be the best player on our team. I want people to respect me. I want them to know who I am. And so I come back my sophomore season, a completely different player. People do respect me. They do notice me. I am a starter on our varsity team. We beat a team that our team had not beaten in 3 years, and I dropped a significant amount of points that game. I was more attractive. I did get better attention from girls. I was more confident. But the season ended exactly like my first season. The end of the season, banquet rolls around. I get most improved player for the second year in a row. I don't get most Christ-like award this year. The season ends with me being angry and cutting everybody off again. Why this time? Why did that happen this time? Because I was wearing an open shirt. I didn't button it up. And I have a quote-unquote wife beater on. I call them tank tops. I think wife beater is a terrible name. But people start making fun of me. My friends start making fun of me. Or just not really making fun of me. It's just making comments that because I was so narcissistic, because I was so self-centered and cared so much about what other people thought about me at the time, it really, really bothered me. And so I get mad and I don't really talk to a lot of people. I still talk to people this time. I don't cut everybody off this time because I had made closer friends. But it ended basically the same way as my first season did, with me being very upset with everyone. And up until this point in time, my relationship with God had stayed pretty much the same as it had always been. I'm praying every single night. I feel like I'm saved, like I have a relationship with God, and I probably was saved at this point in time, but I'm not really listening to God. Like, I'm not really trying to do what he tells me to do and to really honor him. I'm thinking about me. What's my future going to look like? How am I going to become this millionaire? How am I going to move to Dubai? How am I going to get all these women? And looking back, I was praying for things and asking God for things that were sinful. For example, I remember asking God to remove the acne from my face. And you might think, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's not, there is nothing wrong, on the surface for just asking God to remove that, acne from my face. There's just these aggravating, painful, embarrassing bumps on my face, right? Most people pray for God to remove the acne from their face. But what was the why? Why was I praying that God remove the acne from my face? And you should ask why in everything that you do in life, Why did I want the acne removed from my face? It wasn't because, I felt like the acne was hindering me in honoring God. It wasn't because I felt like, if I didn't have acne, I would be more confident, and therefore because I was more confident, I would be able to go talk to more people and spread the gospel. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that reason. That would have been a righteous reason. Maybe God would have granted it. Maybe he wouldn't have, but maybe he would have, if that's really what my heart desired. What my heart really desired was, hey, God, I really want this acne removed from my face because I want to be more attractive to these girls. I want these girls to find me more attractive. I want my ego to be soothed. I want to feel better about myself. I want to be more confident. And as you can see, God didn't answer my prayers. And now I have a way better view of my acne. And I was trying to form that back then. But now I really do see my acne as, in a way, a blessing. I still don't like it, but I can relate to people that have acne. I can help people that have acne. I can inspire people that have acne, where someone who has never had acne cannot. So in a way, I have a unique gift. And you always have to reframe things with that kind of mindset. So I begin my sophomore season, off season, just like I had my previous seasons. I'm grinding. I want to be one of the best players that I can be next season, my junior season that I just finished up, by the way. And now things start leaching over into my relationship with God, my spirituality. All the way up until this time, I had maintained my relationship with God, praying every night. But now I started asking questions. For the first time in my life, at about 15 and a half years old, I start asking questions and trying to poke holes in my religion, Christianity. And it all kind of starts off with this one, and I've had someone comment in one of my previous videos, the concept of eternal torture for finite crime. And actually, hell is just you choosing to be separate with God, and God grants your choice because you have free will. And life absent from God is hell. But I didn't understand that at the time. I couldn't understand how, if God is more moral and more just than I am, how can he torture someone like Hitler for forever, when if I was God, I don't think I could torture Hitler for forever. Yes, Hitler, one of the worst people in many people's eyes to ever have existed, gassing Jews. I don't think I could torture him for forever, and I don't think you could either. And there's a plethora of other questions, and eventually I just got to the point to where I had so many questions that had no answers that I say, I don't think I can believe in this anymore. And it was a journey. Like, this didn't happen quickly, and it's not an easy journey either, because, you know, I'm like, oh man, but what if Christianity is real and this, and I know what my family's gonna say. I mean, this is a hard time in my life, really bad mental health. My relationship with my mom is the most horrible it has ever been, and I hope it's the worst it will ever be. And it's just a really rough time in my life. But eventually, without any answers to my questions, I stopped praying. And when I stopped praying, that was the final straw. Because like I said, I had been praying every single night religiously for as long as I could remember. So when I stopped praying, that's when I became an atheist. And it was a big deal, and it bothered me because for as long as I could remember, I couldn't sleep without praying. I literally would have to pray to be able to go to sleep. And now it's like, there's no point. There's nothing out there. And I remember asking God, if you are real, please show yourself to me so that I can know you and worship you. And God didn't answer me. He doesn't have to. And so, like I said, I became an atheist. And I had no intentions on telling anybody that I was an atheist. No intentions. Especially my parents. But I still remember the first time that I told someone that I was an atheist. This girl who's on the basketball team that I play for, she comes up to me in the middle of practice, which is random and kind of strange, and it was probably just God trying to figure out where my heart is. And, you know, he already knew where my heart is, but he needed me to play it out in real time and space, because God lives outside of time and space, which is pretty much impossible for us to understand. But she comes up to me in the middle of the practice and just randomly starts talking about God. And then eventually she asks me, do you believe in God? And at first I ignore her. I don't want to talk about it. There's a bunch of people around me. I don't want anybody to know. So I ignore her the first time. I go through the drill. I go to another line. She goes through the drill because she's right behind me, and goes to the line and comes to the right behind me again. And so she asks me again, do you believe in God? And I tell her, no, I don't think so. And she asks why. And I don't remember exactly because this was a while ago and it was just a random occurrence. But I say, I'm having a hard time believing in an eternal God who has always been and always will be. It's pretty crazy. It is hard to understand. And that's just what I told her at the time. Of course, there was other reasons why. You know, I wanted casual sex. I wanted to go to clubs. I wanted to do all the fun stuff that the Bible said I couldn't do. And so she didn't really make a big deal about it at all, and we move on. And I remember probably about a week later, I ended up telling my friend and my best friend, and still had no intention on telling my parents. But one day my mom comes in and I'm in the shower. She brings clean clothes into my room and my journal falls. And when I had nobody to talk to, and I feel like nobody understands me at this point in time, the only place I have to vent is my journal. So she picks up my journal and she's just met with this storm of profanity. And I knew it was a risk when I was writing it all down. I knew it was a risk that they would see it. But they had respected my privacy up to this point for the past 2 years. And I was like, I'm doing it because I have to write this down. These are my true feelings and I have nowhere else to vent them. And so she reads it. Of course, she's upset. I come out the shower. I can tell that she's in my room and she's mad. And to save myself, I sit down in my bed and I say, look, I have something I want to tell you. I don't think I believe in God anymore. And you just see her face switch from angry to sad, like that. I go in the room and I talk to my dad. He's upset. And it's a long night for me. My sister had just recently gotten baptized, so she comes in my room along with my mom, and they're just debating me. I mean, they're just asking me why do I not believe in God anymore? And I'm in peak debate mode. I'm a pretty good debater as it is, and so right now I'm just in peak debate mode. I tell them a question that I have to try to answer. I debate them again. I have a counter. They have something else, and it all just ends up to, well, God loves you, and that's not a sufficient answer for me right now. Like, God doesn't exist, so of course that's not a sufficient answer. And so nothing gets accomplished that night, and I have a really good night's sleep because I'm absolutely exhausted, emotionally and mentally. I wake up the next day, everything's gone. I had been doing YouTube at this point in time, and anyone who can still go back and watch my old self-improvement videos. My camera was gone. Some of my books were gone because they were written by atheists. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have my laptop. I was cooked. I'm screwed, and I just start playing basketball and trying to work out with no music. And I just see everybody's faces. I mean, they just have this look on their faces whenever they see me. I just feel like a disappointment. I feel like I failed. But I mean, there's nothing I can do at this point. This is my belief, and I was really just furious with them because they're gonna hold me back. Like, you're gonna hold me back because of the way that I see the world, and you don't have answers to it. Like, I was really, really, really upset with them. And so, but at this time, they're gonna start ramping up. Going to church, ramping up, praying at every meal. I mean, my mom's got a Bible verse on her phone screen. And it was about a week, 2 weeks after, it's a long 2 weeks because my life sucks right now. And about 2 weeks after that, I go to my first youth group up at the church, not too far from my house. My first time going. And so we have worship, and the preacher preaches the sermon, and then we go into small groups where we discuss what was talked about in the sermon. And there's a couple guys in there, cool guys, and the question ends up rolling around to me, and the question was, how do you view your relationship with God? Is it like a relationship, or is it just a bunch of rules that you have to follow? And I'm honest with them, and it's the reason why I think I made so much progress really quickly, because I wasn't an atheist for too long. I mean, it was a couple months, but I didn't stay an atheist for years like so many people because I was honest with myself. So I'm honest with them. I say, look, I don't think my faith is in a very good spot right now. I didn't just come out and say that I'm an atheist. I said, I don't think my faith's in a really good spot right now. And to answer your question, I see the Bible as just a bunch of rules that you have to follow. Well, that ends. And as we're leaving, this guy, named Mr. Ryan, or Ryan, I call him Mr. Ryan, he comes up to me and he just starts talking to me, and we end up exchanging phone numbers, and we plan a meeting to happen within the next week or so. I give her my mom's phone number because I can't remember my phone number at this point in time because I had just gotten a new phone and I didn't have my phone on me, so I give her my mom's phone number. About a week and a half, 2 weeks go by. Text my mom, we plan a meeting, and we meet up at this Applebee's, right down the road from the church. He shares his testimony, and for the first time, and he has a crazy testimony, and I plan on having a podcast with him soon. to keep it short, he was an ex-drug dealer, one of the biggest drug dealers in St. Louis. That's wild. And he's just telling me all the stuff that he's gone through, and how he became a Christian. And for the first time, I have met someone that can actually answer my questions in a way that I can understand it actually makes sense. And it's funny because that same Applebee's that we first met in is the same Applebee's that my papa died of a heart attack in. And it's crazy because the same place where my papa lost his life here on earth, I began regaining my spiritual life for eternity. And it's just crazy how things sometimes happen that way. But anyway, the meetings continue. We meet up at coffee shops. We meet up at Applebee's a couple times, another restaurant. And it's just time after time. I'm coming in with these lists of questions that I have, and he's just able to answer them in a way that I can understand that actually makes sense. And over time, as the weeks go by, my list begins to get smaller. I'm starting to being able to answer questions for myself when questions come around. And a couple months later, I come into one meeting. The longest of these meetings that we had was 3.5 hours. And I come in to one meeting and I say, I think I'm starting to get this Christianity thing. I'm trying. And I still remember the time, prior to this, I'd prayed a couple times just asking God, like, if you're real, please show yourself to me. And he didn't. I didn't feel anything because I feel like, looking back, I didn't really mean it in my heart. The only reason why I was asking was so that I could have peace. I wanted mental peace. And God's not here just to give me mental peace. God's here to actually help me be a soldier for his kingdom, to actually come and live in a relationship with him. And so he did answer my prayers. And then I just remember one night I'm in the shower. I get down on my knees and I say, God, you don't have to answer me. I'm going to serve you. I believe in you. Forgive me of my sins. I repent. I will do anything. Send me where you want me to go and I will do it. And I just feel the Holy Spirit revived in me. Life surges back into me is the only way that I can describe it. And from that moment on, my life begins to change. I stop cussing. I get my YouTube channel back. I start making content again. Mr. Ryan buys me a Bible. I start reading the Bible every single night. And now here I am, about to share my testimony on stage for the first time in my life in 2 days. I hope this video helped you. And this is my testimony. My name's Charlie, and I wish you good luck. Today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever you're watching this video. I love you, and I'll see you.